once you put it in a precarious position in your hand, all of a sudden now you're afraid you're going to drop it. And I think that is exacerbated by the lightness. It's like so light that you're afraid of it.
Hey there, welcome to Basic AF. This is episode 71. Show notes for this episode can be found at basicafshow.com/71. And then this episode, we're going to go hands-on of sorts with the iPhone Air. What's up, everybody? I'm Tom Anderson, and he is Jeff Battersby. Hi, Jeff.
Good morning, Tom Anderson. How are you, pal?
Doing well, sir. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm about to head to New York City after we finish this, so that'll be fun.
All right. Well, we have two wonderful returning guests with us today.
What?
We do, and they are the ones that have had the time with the iPhone Air. So we have expert opinions on this, not just Jeff and I making up stuff. So Chris Freitag, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to see you back. And Gannon Nordberg.
Hello, gentlemen. Great to be back. Happy to see everybody. Chris, great to meet you. And excited for a great discussion today.
Yeah, looking forward to it. All right. So without any further ado, here's the story. Tom and I have, well, I won't say I have nothing new. I did decide to jump up to the Ultra 3, which is on my wrist right now. But that's not what this is about. Tom and I have no experience with the iPhone Air, but both Chris and Gannon do. So we want to talk about your iPhone Air experience. So first of all, let's start with Gannon. What made you decide to jump on this particular train?
So I was coming from an iPhone 15 Pro. So I've had it for a couple of years. It just felt like it was time for an upgrade. I was honestly expecting going into the event to probably get the Pro model, but I heard rumors of something maybe a little different, and I'm always interested in what the new kind of weird different phone is. I was the same way when they had the first big plus size phone. I think it was the 6 Plus or 7 Plus. That was new and different, and I kind of liked trying that out to see what a giant phone would be like. And then, of course, the iPhone 10 came out. That was radically different at the time. And then probably my beloved all-time favorite iPhone is the 12 mini. I just love the size of that phone. I probably said it here on the show before, but I love the size and the pocketability and just being able to use it one-handed really easily. And so with this new iPhone Air, I was kind of expecting to be pulled towards it. And I was just because it's a little bit different. And there are some sacrifices in some things that I think we'll probably get into, but I'm very happy with it ultimately.
Awesome. And Chris, what made you jump on that train?
Yeah, very similar. I had come to the conclusion that the 14 Pro, so I had the 13 Pro, 14 Pro Max, 15 Pro Max, and then 16 Pro. And I realized that I simply wasn't using the cameras for much. You know, I carry around real mirrorless cameras, and I just don't use the iPhone for that. So I thought the Air would be perfect. I wanted the portability, the weight difference, all of that just really saying to me. Similarly, I also like seeing where Apple is going, so I try things as well. You know, funny note, the 6S Plus was the first iPhone that had optical image stabilization in the camera. And that's why I went with the Plus. And I spent a year with a phone that I absolutely hated.
That's really interesting. But you did have image stabilization.
It was actually really great. But yeah, the phone was just too awkwardly big. And that may come back into the conversation.
Yeah, because back then they still had the home button too, so they were huge.
Yeah, that's true. It was
I
a
had the
big
7
phone.
Plus, and I was like, good Lord, that thing is big.
Yeah.
But,
tablet in your pocket, or you just have
kind of was. Which configurations did you get? Gannon, you want to?
Yeah, so I have the Cloud White, which I love that color, by the way. It's like pristine, Johnny Ive White Room kind of look and feel. It really is a striking color. I have the 512 gigabyte model, and I'm one of those people that likes to have my whole photo library downloaded. So that's kind of the model that I've chosen for myself.
All right. Chris, how about you?
Exact same.
Okay.
White, because Apple. And I also got 512 gigs for practically the same reason. I have my photo library downloaded to all of my machines. I will never lose my photos.
Right. Yeah, and it's funny with on release day when people started to get them, there were all of the photos, and it's like, this is the sky blue, or is it white? And this is the gold, or is it white? They're very, very subtle shades of color, but I do like that white one the most, I think.
So why don't you give us some first impressions? Weight, and Chris, we'll start with you on this. Weight, the plateau, and the camera, and just general usefulness. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, my initial impressions, and I even posted this on Threads, was I haven't liked a phone this much since the iPhone 10. It essentially felt like magic in my hand. You know, it was so lightweight. The weight was what struck me more than the thinness. Like the thinness wasn't really the thing. It was just how light it was. So it was really magical to hold, and I really liked the way it felt. I was kind of bummed that the camera continued to bump when it had a plateau. Like, can't we just bury the camera in there? You know, can we get a phone that can lay flat on a table? But that was my only real gripe from a hardware standpoint. I mean, otherwise it was actually pretty fantastic to hold. That was my initial impression of it.
Excellent. Gannon?
Yeah, very similar. You know, the moment I picked it up, I just thought like, whoa, dude, this is a really thin, light phone. It's exactly what, you know, Apple says it is. I think they even have on their marketing message, you know, so this is what the future feels like. And after I read that, I'm like, oh yeah, that rings true for me. It just feels like one of the old iPod Touches back in the day when the phones were big and chunky. Like the iPod Touch was really thin and lightweight. It just kind of reminded me of that a little bit.
All right, very cool. And how do you feel about the bump?
I don't like sitting it on the table and having it rock around when I try to use it, you know, with one hand, you know, as it's sitting on the table. That drives me bonkers. And but that's the price you pay for, you know, having these sophisticated cameras on a really thin device. And yeah, like Chris said, it would have been nice if they could have just smushed it a little more. Maybe, you know, I'm sure there would have been other sacrifices that I wouldn't have liked as a result, but it still bugs me a little bit. But yeah, that's just the world we're in right now.
Cool. And I can add, I don't know if we're going to get into this or not, but the front-facing camera was such an astonishing improvement. Like, really? Okay. Especially from somebody who does content creation, being able to record what I'm looking at and myself at the same time is a game-changing thing that I think will hit the market pretty hard now that Apple has introduced it. Because I think you're going to see Reels, YouTube Shorts, you're going to see all kinds of stuff with this application.
Yeah, I think that upgrade to the front-facing cameras across the Air 17 Pro with center stage and everything, and plus what you were just talking about there, Chris, I think that's I won't say it's going to be like a sleeper hit, but it's a big update.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of the cameras, and Chris, you're mostly a Leica man. You know, you're used to pretty good quality cameras, and obviously you're not probably using your phone camera as much as you might. But what did you think of that, or what do you think of that?
Well, when they introduced the photo styles in the 16 models, that really became more like a Fujifilm experience where you could really kind of dial in the color tone. And because of that, the main camera becomes a really good, you know, straight off of camera kind of camera experience. You can take the photo and just use it. Where when you take raw photos, you're going to bring them into a processing, you know, Lightroom or something like that, and you're going to do what you want to do with it. So from that standpoint, it was great. But even though I don't use my phone that often for RAW, I immediately missed the fact that it wasn't even there, right? Like that missing feature was like, oh man, am I going to be okay with this for the rest of the year? That became a real question mark for me.
So wait, clarify that for me, because that's not something I'm aware of. You cannot shoot RAW in... Okay.
No, not on the iPhone Air. You can shoot the 48 megapixel if you want to, or you can shoot the 12 megapixel, which is actually a higher quality image. it's kind of hard to explain, but they just take the 48 megapixels and reduce them down. So you get actually better quality in your 12 megapixels. And so I would actually recommend to most people to use 12 megapixels because I think it's a higher quality photo. It's just you can't crop in like you can a 48 megapixel.
Right. Got it. Gannon, what do you think?
Well, I'm kind of just the everyday guy. I don't use my phone for shooting anything professionally. I don't do, much content creation type things. I'm taking pictures of kids and vacations and, my dog when she's sleeping, just kind of everyday stuff. So the camera honestly hasn't been too noticeable, positive or negative for me coming from the 15 Pro. My son's on a swim team, and so when I'm shooting videos of that, I may notice a difference not being able to reach quite as far for distance. But to this point, it still takes great photos, and I do think it is a bump from what I was used to in the 15 Pro, just having some better internals and some more options there.
A bump, no pun intended.
Well done. What lenses did you have available on the 15s? I can't remember. Jeff, it's 5. It goes up to 5, right? 5X.
I think it was 1, 2, and 3X on the 15 Pro. I believe so.
Mm-hmm. Okay, 1, 2, and 3.
And I found myself hardly ever using the 3X. When I would use it, I could sort of start to tell that it wasn't quite as crisp and clean. And I used to just kind of stick to the 1X and 2X in general. So I don't really think I'm missing too much from that view.
Yeah, the only other loss really was the wide angle was how you were able to do macro. And that I actually was like, oh, I didn't realize I shot so close so often to things, so
interesting. So one of the things that we're seeing online, or I've seen online, is that battery life is questionable. Not questionable by current standards of maybe you could have this thing running all day. That's kind of the normal standard. What has been your experience as far as batteries are concerned?
I do think it's interesting that right out of the gate, Apple had a MagSafe battery available only for the iPhone Air, where it's like, oh, so maybe you're not quite as confident in the all-day battery, so we're going to have this available just in case. I'm happy that it's there, but it was kind of interesting to.
Did you get one of those?
I did not. I've got an Anker Mag Go battery pack that I've used, and that works just fine for what I need. But battery has not really been an issue for me. I've been keeping track of it and using my phone exactly like I always do every day. And I still, go to bed with it around 30%. So maybe I'm not quite as a heavy user, or I'm not playing games on it. It's kind of just web browsing, email, messaging, photos, that kinds of things. But battery has not been an issue, and I'm pleasantly surprised by that.
Okay, great. Chris?
Yeah, that was my experience as well. I thought it was completely overhyped. I think people get an idea in their head and just want it to be true. Because it wasn't my experience at all. I even feel like that first day I used screen on time more than I would ever in a typical day, and I had plenty of battery. So it just wasn't a problem. I did get the battery accessory because I do spend so much time in the mountains. I'll probably come back to that because there was stuff that did happen with me in the mountains. But I'm offline. There's no cell signal. I have downloaded maps. So I just wanted to make sure I didn't run out of battery. But it really wasn't an issue.
Maybe if you're coming from like a Pro Max, where you're used to very long battery life to something like this, maybe it's more noticeable. But I don't know. For day-to-day stuff, I just haven't had an issue with it.
Yeah, and I feel it's a little too soon to tell. Obviously, the phone just came out for one, but also we're on .0 of iOS 26.
Right.
And I've been having some pretty bad battery drain, which is funny. Through the betas, battery was great. And then on .0, so I don't know if it's the OS or if there was a app update and there's a, widget or something that's going wild. I don't see anything abnormal like in battery in settings when you go in and look. but I had like 2 hours of on-screen time and I was down to 18%, and it was 85 before I went to bed. And I'm like, that's not normal. And so I'm sure it just needs an update. So I was considering putting on 26.1. The public betas are out for the .1 updates, so I may try that.
Right.
So the screen, how was the quality of what you're seeing?
I think the screen looks amazing. I mean, it's bigger than what was on my 15 Pro, but just subtle enough where every time I pick it up, I'm still saying like, wow, this is a really nice screen. It seems bigger. It seems, it goes further to the edge more. I don't know if that's actually the case, but it just seems more expansive. And it's a really striking thing to interact with your phone that way.
Nice. Chris?
Yeah, I agree. I think this is another one of those sleeper things across the line. The fact that they go up to 3,000 nits. I was at a soccer game for my son. It was bright, sunny, and it almost looked like a sticker on my phone. Like it almost looked fake. It was so clear and bright. I was actually pretty surprised by that. So I would say any of the 17 models that you get, you're going to be very happy with that brightness.
Yeah, I saw you posted on Threads, I think, a picture from that game, a couple of pictures from that game, and it was pretty impressive how bright it was actually. You both using the always-on feature?
Yep.
Okay, because I confessed to Tom last episode that I turned that off.
You turned it off. Why is that?
Yeah, I don't need to be distracted by my phone while it's sitting there. One of the things I've started doing, in addition to having a setting that, like when I'm writing or doing stuff like that, that doesn't let anybody talk to me, which pisses Tom off. But
I'm with you.
But anything that is gonna get me looking outside of where I need to be looking at any given time, I just started to turn off. I have almost zero notifications on all my devices, but that was just another thing. And I've taken my watch off when I'm writing.
So what you're saying is you're the meme where the guy is with his girlfriend or his wife or whatever, and the other woman walks by, and he turns to look. So the one you're with is the work you're supposed to be doing. And you're always on display as the one that's walking by. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, you just turned me into a meme, Tom. I feel like
I don't use the always on display either for the same reason.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
I just I found it distracting. When it would be on, I would think that there was a message. I would think that there was something trying to get my attention, even though there wasn't. It was just on. So I ended up just turning that off.
Yeah, it's a thing.
On my Switch there. That's what we said last show, right? Isn't that what we said? That's why the Switch is there. It's for Jeff.
Right.
Jeff, have you seen one of the Airs yet? Have you seen one in person?
Have not, but as I said, I'm going to New York City today.
Stop by.
I'm going to stop by. Look at that. Holy smokes. It's funny. The bump doesn't look as bumpy.
I'm holding it up for everybody to listen to. This is the sound of me holding it up.
To listen to. Great. Yeah. It sounds amazing.
It sounds amazing.
Look at that cloud white.
That really is pretty. It really is. And you have it unencumbered.
Yeah. Can we talk about cases and protection and stuff
put
like
a case on that.
Well, that's exactly
the whole thing, right?
I know. Well, I started out, I wanted to have something on day one. So I'm like, well, let me look and see what Apple has. I'll just get the Apple silicone case and I'll have it on day one. And I was surprised that Apple didn't have a silicone case available, but they had a Beats case, which is, of course, one of Apple's companies. I'm like, well, that's interesting. I don't know if I've had many Beats products, but I'm sure it's just as good as what I'm used to. So let me get the Beats case. And when I got it a couple days before the phone got here, I picked it up and opened it up, and it just felt kind of plasticky and cheap and not really nice. And I ended up returning it. I thought, I don't know if I want this kind of case. If I'm going to get a case, I want one that's going to, bring me joy into this world. But this was not doing it for me. So I don't know. Not good.
All right. Chris, case?
Yeah, I would. On that particular device, I think that would be a crime. Like to put a case on it. It's just you're gonna have to deal with it. Like get Apple Care Plus. Just try not to drop it. Actually, though, from everything I've read, go ahead and drop it. Like, it seems like it's fine. It seems like a high quality device. Like, I really think that guy who likes to break things, the jerry rig everything video, was fantastic. The fact that he couldn't break it and he had to go use a special machine to crack it
really
was fantastic.
I didn't see that. That's pretty interesting. You might have to send us that link. We can post it with the show notes. But.
Yeah, it's great because you almost got this sense that he was disappointed because he was the original Bengate guy.
Mm-hmm. I was also poking around at other third-party vendors and some of their cases, and I was surprised to see how few iPhone Air case options there were. I actually was interested in one of the leather cases from Bellroy, and I placed an order for it. And then a couple of days went by. It said that it would be available mid-October or something like that. And I canceled that one also like a crazy person because I came to the same realization that Chris just said. It just feels wrong to put this phone in a case. And the reason I got it was to have something incredibly thin, incredibly light, and putting it in any kind of case just kind of undermines that. So I do have AppleCare Plus, and so I should be just fine, right? I did get one of the weird bumper cases just so I would have like something to put on it, but I also don't like this, so I don't plan on using it unless I'm going someplace where I may be more prone to dropping. But having it there is – this is Apple's, yeah.
Okay.
I actually I'm holding up a felt sleeve. This is made by a company in Germany called Pack and Smooch. I got it for the iPhone 13 Pro, but it's actually fit all of my iPhones since. It's a great sleeve. It's felt, and so this worked great with the Air, and the battery fit in the front pocket that's like designed for the wallet or whatever.
Wow.
And so their battery fit in there. So this actually worked out great, but I don't have that phone anymore.
Oh, wait. What?
You've been speaking in the past tense this whole time.
Yeah,
you got to tell us what happened now.
So tell us the story, because Chris, that is kind of the little reveal here. You have been speaking in the past tense the entire time.
That's right.
So bring us into the present.
Yeah. So I went into the mountains and I got an error that I've never gotten on an iPhone before. Now, a lot of people were upset with me when I posted this because they were like, I get that on my phone all the time. I don't. And that was the phone cannot charge until the internal temperature reduces to a certain level. And I've never gotten that error before, ever. And I was like, uh-oh, because I'm literally out in the middle of nowhere and my phone was dying. It was getting to a point that I needed to charge it, but I couldn't charge it. And I need the maps because I'm in the mountains on trails that I cannot get around without a map. So that was alarming for sure. And I had to pull over, and it was cold out. I was waving my phone around in the air to get the phone to cool down, and it did. It cooled down, and then I charged it, and I waited for about, I would say, 30 minutes for it to charge to about, I would say 50% maybe. So it was definitely a slower charge. So the combination of those two things was like, oh, this is actually going to impede my work. Right? I need this to work differently than this. So that was sort of the backbreaker. The only other thing was the 6.5-inch screen was beautiful to look at. But from a one-handed perspective, I was surprised at what a difference 6.5 is from 6.3 and how one-handed use changed. And so the feather light weight of the phone mixed with the 6.5 sort of reachability issue that I was having, I felt like I was constantly in a state of the phone might fall out of my hand. And that was kind of a weird feeling. So it was those two things.
Okay. That's really interesting. I have gotten that message, but 90% of the time it's when I had the sunroof open in my car and the sun was behind me and beating down on the on the phone where it sits. So that's typically the only place I've ever gotten that message. So that's pretty interesting. And you were in the weeds.
Yeah, I was out in the mountains.
Was it in the
let me
sun
ask
or
you this
anything, or just?
No, it was just sitting where it always sits. It was the Subaru has like this box underneath the infotainment center. It was sitting in there. It's always in there. So yeah, it was definitely not in special circumstances.
Is that a wireless charging spot? Or
no? In fact, I've heard nothing but bad things about the Subaru wireless
Oh,
charging.
it's awful. Yeah, I never use it. It sucks.
So yeah, I did not pay for that upgrade.
Got it. So here's another question that I have for you. Did you still have cellular on, or did you have cellular turned off?
Now I did. And since then, I've learned that the reason my iPhone 16 Pro was draining so badly in the mountains, I just thought it was because I was navigating, I was listening to Audible, but it was actually searching. I didn't think searching for a cell signal was a computational difficulty. But apparently I don't know how these things work. So I have, like yesterday when I was out, I put it in airplane mode. And my battery lasted. I was shocked. Mm-hmm. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I've been doing it wrong this whole time." Yeah, as soon as I know I'm out of coverage, airplane mode.
Yeah, good call. That's my understanding. Same thing. Like when I take the train down to the city, like I'm going to do today, I put my phone in airplane mode for the same reason, because you get two things: you get it trying to reach for Wi-Fi all the time, and there's a million spots on the train down, but also you're changing cells so regularly when you're on a train that it like when I figured this out when I was going down to the city semi-regularly to teach classes. And I would get down, I would do nothing. I would get down to the city as like 50% of my battery was gone. It's like, what the heck? So I started doing airplane mode, and that fixed that. So interesting. And that's probably what heated everything up as well.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that part of that is now all the components are in that plateau. You've got this teeny tiny little area. And I would imagine rather than the whole phone feeling hot, if you felt the back of the plateau, I bet it would have been pretty toasty. So that's really interesting. So
it was really, really hot.
That part of it was interesting. Frying, hang on it. See, you got something to cook with when you're in the week. Find a little quail egg and you can have something to eat.
It's a survival tactic.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's what it is. It's a feature. Mm-hmm. What are you talking about, Chris? Mm-hmm. So you ended up, how long did you have the Air 4 before you returned it and got a dot?
I returned it on Monday. So I got it on launch day, and the overheating issue happened on Sunday. And Monday I realized that this is not going to be the phone for me. If they had a Pro in silver, I would have gotten that, but they didn't. And I came home and I ordered one. And then about, I would say this Friday, I canceled that order because I don't think I need it. Like, the Air is a significant change. It is a big enough change that it would have been worth keeping if I didn't have the issue with overheating or the battery. But the Pro itself, going from a 16 Pro, was not a big enough reason to do that change. Plus, I follow rumors like you guys. I really think something's coming this next cycle. So I think I'm just going to wait this one out.
Okay. So you kept the phone that you had, which is a 16, which is plenty good enough. 16 Pro Max?
It's a 16 Pro in natural titanium. It's beautiful. Cool.
Yeah. All right. So it makes a lot of sense. Gannon, have you run into any heat issues?
No, I've not really put it to the test, but normal day-to-day stuff, it's been fine. I've had it in my little car pocket, riding around and outside on the back deck, in some sun, that kind of stuff, but hasn't seemed to have been a problem for me.
Very cool. Any other impressions in terms of how it works? What it did in Chris's case and what it does in Gannon's. Any, iOS 26 usability issues? It's interesting that you said that extra 2/10 of an inch? 2/100 of 2/10 of an inch, ended up being a lot Chris, do you have? You said you just have the Pro, not the Pro Max, right?
That's right. But the Pro Max, interestingly enough, the Pro Max, the 15 Pro Max, and the 14 Pro Max, I found them to be quite usable at 6.7. Is that what they are?
I think.
And I'm not sure what the difference was. 6.5 almost, it just in my hand just felt a little awkward.
Interesting.
It was kind of hard to explain. I felt the need to put it in one hand and use the other. That's where I kind of landed with it.
I wonder how much the design factored into that with the plateau at the top, and then it's because it's super thin until you get to the plateau, and then
it's almost top heavy at that point.
That's what I was wondering. Like, how is that balance wise? Like, I tried one at Best Buy, but it was hard to get like a real true feel. Like when I picked it up, I was like, oh wow, that is really light. But it was still attached to the anti-theft thing, and so you don't really get the true feel for it. Does it, Gannon, for you and Chris? Did it feel balanced overall? Like,
it does for me. I mean, I tend to hold it, kind of like in the middle-ish with a couple of fingers, so I'm not holding it towards the bottom where it could topple over if I, let go of it. But I imagine if you have different sized hands or you do like to hold it differently, I could see it could feel a little unbalanced. Yeah,
I do the pinky underneath. Mm-hmm. And so I'm way low on the phone. So that did create some of the issue. I honestly think it was just because it was so light.
Really?
It was just so light. And I once you put it in a precarious position in your hand, all of a sudden now you're afraid you're going to drop it. And I think that is exacerbated by the lightness. It's like so light that you're afraid of it. That's almost how I felt.
Yeah, I could see that.
This isn't specific to the iPhone Air, but I think I've pressed the camera control button accidentally 16,000 times since I've got the phone. Every time I pick it up, I hit the camera control button, and I know there's some settings you can do to adjust what the button does and those sorts of things, but I just can't stop hitting it just every time I pick it up. And I wasn't used to that with the 15 Pro because it didn't have the camera control button. So I'm still getting used to that.
Gannon doesn't swear much. I don't think I've heard him swear, to be honest. But the text he sent when he was raging about pressing that button is probably the closest I've ever heard. He didn't say it, but man, I could tell he wanted to. It was close.
It's such a silly little thing. I know the button's there, but every time I pick it up, my thumb just presses it, and then the camera's on, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go again. So I gotta get used to that or change some things up.
I had to turn it off. I don't find it useful. I'm a photographer, and I don't find it useful.
Right.
Yeah, Tom, you what's your feeling on it?
I only use it to launch the camera app.
That's it.
Yeah. So it's like a little mini action button of sorts. But so I tried the controls. It was way too finicky, and I was like, this doesn't make any sense. And so it's just the launcher for the camera app. And I did change it, so it's launching that Adobe Project Indigo camera because I'm testing that. I just swapped them out, but same function. Just launch the app I'm taking the photo with.
Interesting. As an aside, this is obviously off topic for the iPhone Air question, but have either of you tried the Project Indigo app?
Yeah. I tried it because Tom was like, hey, check this out. These are some crazy pictures I'm taking, but it's not supported on the 17 line yet. So I'm sure it will be, but I got an error message, or I got a sort of a splash screen when I launched the app that said, sorry, these are the devices that are supported. It's not ready on 17 yet.
Got it. Chris, what do you think of it?
I think it's pretty great. But like a lot of the apps that come out for the iPhone, like Halide and things like that, they fail because Apple's way of launching the phone is easier, or the camera. So I pick up the camera. I don't use the camera control, and the button to launch the camera is just right there. And so I just launch Apple's camera. Like they all lose to Apple because Apple puts their camera in a convenient place.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's interesting. I have Halide on my lock screen. It's the bottom right corner of my lock screen.
Okay.
And I do use that, but I find that depending on what it is that I'm trying to do, that I use the control of course, I can't remember the stupid name. When you slide down from the upper right-hand side.
Oh, right.
Control center.
Control center. There we go. I knew there was a second word involved in it. And I dragged that thing down. And that's where I launch Apple's camera when I want to use Apple's camera. So I find that I bounce between both of those.
Right.
But so far, Project Indigo, kind of fun. I've played with it a little bit. Took a couple black and whites at the bar of actually changed them to black and white.
Right.
Took photos and then went in and manipulated, made them black and white.
Yeah.
A couple of people sitting at the bar yesterday, and it was really good. Like the quality, especially whatever they're doing computationally, the zoom is phenomenal. Like it's pretty amazing. So yeah, it's an interesting. If nobody's ever seen that, it's free, at least for now.
For now, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but this is Adobe we're talking about.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. That's why I'm trying not to get too attached to it, because I know the screw job is coming. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah, but back to the Air, something that I've been hearing and I feel like is true when you're thinking about the forward looking and Apple's motions, putting everything into that plateau is almost like showing their hand, right? Like imagine a plateau, right, on your glass frame or a plateau like on a foldable. Like you can start to see how cramming all of these micro parts into a small area could really be where they're going.
Yeah, definitely can see that. I know Tom's kind of into the idea of a foldable. I still don't see the.
I would love to talk about this. I don't know how much time we have.
We got time.
Yeah, we've got time. Go ahead.
I do not see the future as I am working on a phone, but now I need an iPad. Like that is not how I see this going. What I want is if I'm on a phone and I can't do what I want, it's not going to work better on the iPad. That's my experience anyway. It doesn't become better. So I'm not like using my phone and watching a YouTube video and go, you know what, I'm going to put my phone down and pick this iPad up and watch my video. And somebody might say, well, it's because it's a convenience factor. And I disagree. I actually think I wouldn't do it anyway. I would still watch it on my folded up phone on the outside. And it's because the whole reason I put my phone down to go to another device is because something doesn't work. So what I'm kind of hopeful for is that Apple will rethink the computer. Like the problem that I run into is the browser is not desktop class. That's my biggest issue that I run into today. I can't complete a task on my phone or iPad because the browser is not, it's blocked. So I have to go to a computer. So I think the future would be more like I carry a phone around with an M chip in it and then plug that into a studio display that has my keyboard and mouse, and I can use a bigger screen, if I want to do that. But I just want them to think closer to, I need to change what my computer is. I don't need a bigger phone. That's not what I'm looking for.
I kind of love that idea, by the way. You've just inspired me, and I mean that honestly. I love the idea of being able to carry around my phone in my pocket and then go plug it into my studio display and have the full desktop experience on that studio display. So I don't know. Does this go back to the original Windows Mobile? I don't know. Maybe it's the same idea as
I mean, Motorola tried something like that in like 2012. I actually had that Motorola device. It was very forward thinking, but it was terrible execution. The technology just wasn't there. Yeah.
And Samsung's had that with DeX for a while, but you're stuck with Android windowing and not really. I mean, even the Android tablet apps today, people still complain about not being as good as iPad OS apps and things like that, because they've had that. You plug your Samsung into a monitor and it comes up. So I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility as a solution. Of course, then it harkens to the same discussions iPad users have had. Why don't they just put Mac OS on the iPad so it's a real computer?
Right.
Because we need to sell MacBooks. They're not going to give us the holy grail of device unless they charge $5,000 for it, and then it's basically the Vision Pro at that point, and 12 people will buy it, myself included. So it's not throwing shade at anyone, but
Tom's not bitter about that Vision Pro at all.
no, I knew that was an experiment going in. But back
But the
to that.
foldable could accelerate iPad application creation. Like, I feel like a lot of app developers have stopped trying to make iPad class applications, right? They either just upscale their iPhone or they uncomfortably jam in their desktop experience, like the DaVinci Resolve, which is like, this is crazy. Like, I can't use this on an iPad.
Yeah,
Maybe what we
Dan.
need is a foldable that unfolds 3 times into a MacBook
Ooh, a
Air.
trifold.
Yeah,
Yes, that way you've got the full Mac experience just in a 4-inch thick phone.
Right, codename
Or
wallet.
having
I like it.
Codename Wallet.
That's good.
But I think so. They did put the new windowing system, in iPad OS, and that is on the Mini. So I think that the Air is the precursor to some type of a foldable if they can make it good enough. So like when I was at Best Buy the other day, I stopped because I'd been looking at reviews on YouTube of the Z Fold 7 from Samsung. And so I was like, well, I'm here. I'll stop and look at that. And I did. And the crease on that in certain angles is still quite noticeable. In most angles, it's not. But what really struck me with it is when I closed it. So it's got a display on the front. It's still a little too narrow. But when I closed the phone and I put it next to my Pro Max, which is in a leather case, they were the same thickness.
Mm-hmm.
So that Samsung foldable is very thin when you open it up. And so, read the tea leaves here, and it's like, okay, well, obviously this is a play into that if they decide to do it. I think there's still some questions on the hinge and that crease in the center. But there are some interesting use cases. Now, Samsung with the Z Fold, they irritated some people because to make it that thin, they took the digitizer out and the S Pen doesn't work anymore. So there's all of these trade-offs still. And there seems to be a good bit of smoke around that iPhone foldable that's coming next year. So I think it probably is. And I'd like to see how Apple might approach some of those kind of trade-offs. And I mean, they did it with the Air, right? There's obviously some trade-offs there. And there'll be some trade-offs with the foldable, which is probably price. It's $2,000, I'm sure. So we'll have to wait and see. But what was missing, to go back to our Air topic here real quick, what would you like to have in like the next version of iPhone Air?
For me, I would say I think the iPhone Air is the best option for like a lot of people, for a majority of people, 75%, let's say. People who really use their phone on a pretty normal basis. They're not trying to do advanced things. And people who don't need the extra cameras. I think a lot of people do use the wide because they do use macro more than they think they do. So the 17 is a good option for a lot of people, but I think the 17 or the Air, it's not the 17 Air, it's just the Air. I think it's good for most people, and I think they shouldn't mess with that. I kind of think they should keep it that way. Like, if you need advanced features, now we have Hulk over here that can give you all the advanced features that you need. I mean, I think that industrial design is good it's a good thing. They can actually make it more pro, like make it beefy and big, and they can add more battery. They don't go ahead.
Really lean into it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Gannon,
I
how
don't
about
know.
you?
I'm not sure what I would change. I mean, I like it the way it is. I'm still getting used to the new form factor and all that's built into it. If they had ways to reduce the plateau, that would be great, just because it still drives me nuts a little bit. But, I understand that all the components have to go somewhere. And so until they can shrink the components in size, I think we'll probably just live with the plateau the way it is. I think it's got plenty of battery for normal use. I'd honestly be curious, what would a smaller version of the iPhone Air be like? I know I'm in the minority that loves the iPhone Mini, but what would something just a little bit smaller, at 6 inches look like? That could be kind of interesting, as long as the battery was similar or, maybe slightly less.
All right.
Yeah, I would love that.
That in airplane mode.
Right. But that would be like what he was saying earlier. Gannon was saying earlier about the iPod Touch, like just that size. That would be
something super portable.
If you think about like the Vision, I think about the first Avatar movie where they were walking around with pieces of glass with digital stuff on it. I started when I was holding the Air. I was like, well, if the camera was just on, it would look like I was looking through this thing, right?
That's true.
Like if the camera, like if I was just walking around with all my apps on what I was looking at, it was close to a sheet of glass, and that was my favorite part.
It's what those clear icons are for.
That's right.
Kind of the preconditioning for that. Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, really grateful that you guys took the time to come on, talk to us about your iPhone Air experiences, and couldn't be more grateful that we didn't have to spend the money on it. You
That's
did.
right.
And,
Team players.
and told us of it. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So thanks for coming on. And as we said earlier, really great to see you both. It's been a minute. And,
Likewise. Great time.
Yeah, happy to have you here.
Yeah, it was great being on again.
Cool.
Right, Jeff?
All right. Why don't we, before we kick it off, Chris, why don't you tell us where we can find you? And then right after that, Gannon, you can follow him and tell us where we can find you.
Yeah, you can find me at chrisfreitag.com. All of my social media is linked there. My photography is also on chrisfreitag.com.
Awesome. Gannon?
I'm most active on LinkedIn, where I post about email marketing strategies that help turn your website visitors into buyers. And I've got an email newsletter you can sign up for there if you're curious to learn more about how to turn website traffic into email subscribers for yourself.
Awesome. All right. Tommy, that's us. This is Basic AF Show. You can get to us at feedback@basicafshow.com. And
question.
Yeah, I did. It was like, wait, what are we called? You can, if you look at the show notes, you've got the ability to send us messages and do things of that nature. And I just want to say that there are a lot of you listening to us now. We're super grateful for that. And we hope that you'll stick with us, and we appreciate you spending another 50 minutes with us here today. And that's me, Tommy.
All right. Gannon, thank you, sir. Chris, thank you. Go Broncos on Monday night. Okay. And thank everyone for listening. As Jeff said, we are grateful for each and every person. And that is us for now. We will talk to you again in a couple of weeks.
See ya.
I don't want to know about your imperfections, dude.